I've met some Hungarian friends on the beach. They're going to say hello to you Hungarian people.
Hello, sziasztok!
Siesta! Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be shooting some long exposures on film, and this will be a handy video for those that are into film photography or getting into film photography and are not quite sure how to get around long exposures. It's quite simple. Today I'm going to be shooting the Chinon CS camera, and inside I've got a roll of Ilford Ortho 80. I'm not intending to shoot all 36 frames. I'm only going to shoot a few, cut the film out of the camera, get back and see what we've got. So before I started shooting film photography many years ago, I shot a lot of digital, especially seascapes, which is, I live on an island around beaches, and I used to enjoy shooting long exposures. So I'd put up at a beach just before sunset, and I'd sit there, wait for the sun to just start getting low, then I'd start taking me shots, and after it finally set, behind the sea, I'd start taking longer exposures. And the thing with digital is you're always seeing what's going on with the back of the screen. You keep taking your photographs, you're looking at the back, is it okay? Yeah, that looks all right, and you keep taking photographs. As the light changes, you're not doing any metering, you're just looking at the back of that screen, or at least I was. And then came the transition of shooting black and white film, something I've always wanted to do, and one day I decided to get right into it. And the first time that I tried to do a long exposure, I got stumped because I'd never metered a scene before, and it confused me. I thought, how do I do long exposures? But of course, once you learn how to meter light using a light meter like this, or an app on your phone, or whatever you've got for metering light, it's quite simple. You just meter up and do what it says on the tin, But today is no good for long exposures because it's too bright. I'm down at Ventnor Beach on the Isle of Wight, and at last summer started to pop its head around the corner. The last few weeks has been an absolute washout, which is why I've been doing videos indoors. But today it's a beautiful day. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning and the sun is quite bright. It's over that way. But I've got my little friend, which is an ND filter. This is a 10-stop ND filter, which enables me to do long exposures in conditions like this. So with my Chinon CS camera, a 10-stop ND filter that I put on there, and a light meter, I should be able to get good long exposures on film. But there's one more thing that I need to think about, and that's that awful word, reciprocity failure. I could never get it right for years. I kept saying reciprocity. In the comments, people were saying city. So I kept that in my mind. It's called reciprocity failure. Now, I don't know the scientific term behind the word reciprocity failure on film, but all I do know is that different films have got different emulsions, and it just takes a bit longer to get the light absorbed into the emulsion or onto the film if you're going to be doing long exposures. If you're shooting on digital, that's no problem. What you see is what you get. If you want to do a 30-second exposure, 2-minute, 2-hour exposure, if you're metering up for that, bosh, off you go with your digital. It'll give you exactly what you wanted. But with film, it just takes longer for the light to absorb into the film. That's my understanding, and it's up here. So as long as I know that, all I need to do then is work out and calculate my reciprocity failures when I'm shooting film. Sounds pretty difficult, but it's not. It's really easy. And what makes it easy for most films is online you'll find a data sheet for your film, and on that data sheet it should give you a reciprocity failure time on calculation for you to work out when you're metering your shots. So to cut a long story short, if I do some metering today and my metering comes in at 10 seconds on my meter, I then have to allow for a slightly longer time for the reciprocity value of that film or failure of that film. So for example, I'll look at the chart and it will say your meter time is 10 seconds. You need to allow another 9 seconds for this photograph according to the metering that you've given me. But here's a good thing, the reciprocity failures don't really start until about 1 second on some films, and even longer on other films. Fuji Acros 100 for example, I think the reciprocity failure kicks in after about 2 minutes. So you can do long exposures up to 2 minutes without adjusting the times for reciprocity failure. I'm shooting Ortho 80, and Ilford have got a very good chart for Ortho 80 for the reciprocity times, so I'm going to delve into that. And if you search Ilford reciprocity times, you'll also get a handy little chart which you can use a scientific calculator to work out your times. I've already made a little cheat sheet for myself with the Ortho 80, just to make things easier while I'm shooting, because I don't really want to sit here while I'm trying to take photographs of scenes and get my calculator out and trying to work it all out. So I've got this little tiny cheat sheet that I wrote for myself, which is here for Ilford Ortho. So let's go and take some photographs and see how we get on. So I'm on the rocks. I'm just going to start off with this simple little scene here. Now, because this filter is pretty much, you can't see through it, it's 10 stops, I'm going to need to do my focusing without the filter on and then put the filter and then put the filter on once I've got my composition, I should say, not focusing. I'm using zone focusing, so I'm shooting at f11, and between f11 and 4 feet everything will be in focus. So I'm pretty good with these rocks and all this stuff in front of me. All I need to do now is work out my meter time, and although I've got a spot meter, I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to use incident readings, because most of you guys don't have spot readers. So I'm just going to use my incident reading, which is the little lumisphere there, which you'll get on most apps or something like this. Let's do a quick reading back towards the camera. So I'm going to go for f11. Now it's giving me a meter time of 125th of a second, but of course I've got an ND stop filter, 10 stops on the front of the lens. The meter doesn't know that, so I need to put that in. So let's go 10 stops under 125th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It gives me 8 seconds. Well, that's fine, but now I need to work out my reciprocity. Now I need to work out my reciprocity. Now I need to work out my reciprocity failure for 8 seconds. So look at my little cheat sheet, 8 seconds, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I need to allow 6 seconds on top of that, making it 14 seconds. So instead of 8 seconds, my exposure needs to be 14 seconds to let the light absorb into the film and get a correct exposure. So I need to put my camera into bulb mode, stick my cable release in, use my watch. I've got a digital watch on my arm. 14 seconds. And that's done, simple as that. Hopefully that's come out all right. Let's move on and find another scene. So there's one great thing about this tripod, is I love it. I can turn it upside down, as you can see here, and get low down shots, nice and sturdy on these rocks. And back over there, I used a couple of pebbles on the wet sand just to try and stop the tripod sinking a little tiny bit. But this is a nice little scene here. A little bit of water coming in and out, the tide's starting to come in. I've got wet feet, need to get some wellies. Oh no, you keep telling me guys, I need to get wellies. That's why I stick these in the washing machine when I get home. Just have wet feet for a while. Right, where to now? I've got to wind it on. Whoa! There you go. I'll send that to you. So the light hasn't really changed at all. So I'm going to take this one shot without the filter, just normal metering, which was f11 or 1/25th of a second. And then I'll put the filter on and do a long exposure of the same scene, see if we can get the same values using that reciprocity chart. So here's the first shot. That's done. Now I'll put the filter on. And don't forget, I've got to allow 10 stops for this filter and the reciprocity on top. I've got a feeling I'm roughly overexposing these, but I'm just stepping on the side of precaution rather than underexposing. But to be honest with you, 14 seconds, I could probably go 10 and maybe 20 and still get a usable image. Same again, long exposure. Done. The tide's coming in now, yeah. They're nice people from Hungary. If any Hungarian subscribers out there, they said hello to you. I took their photograph as well. They're on holiday on the Isle of Wight for a week. So I'm just going to sit here now, chill out for a little bit, wait for the tide to come in a little bit more. Ideally, I'd like the tide to have been up further towards that wave breaker over there. It would have been quite nice. I came here the other day and the tide was right up. but it is what it is, isn't it? Yeah, the idea of this video is just to show you guys how easy long exposures are. I'm having to use the ND filter in the day, but if this was later on this evening, it's kind of like 8 o'clock when the light was low, I wouldn't need to use that filter. And some of these shots as well, you know, 14 seconds is quite a long time on a seascape. Usually if I was to do seascapes, try and get a little bit of smooth motion going on, you know, probably not even a second, maybe a second is too long. These shots are going to come out as though the sea is like a blanket of ice. That's what I feel. And of course, if there's big fluffy clouds and a little bit of wind, it looks even better because those clouds start streaking. But you know, this video is just to show you guys what I'm doing for my long exposures, and you know, how I get around it. So that ND's 10 stop filter's pretty good for doing stuff in the day, and it is what it is, isn't it? If you like them sort of shots, then go for it. But it's pretty simple to do on film. Once you get your head around the metering and the reciprocity failures, then the rest of it is just compositions and your time, you know. And if it doesn't come out right, don't come out right. Do it again, try again. That's what I always say. Right, let's find something else. So after washing my trainers and then developing the film, which I did in 510 PYRO, I got in the darkroom and started to make some prints. First of all, I had to look at the negatives to see what I had. And the negatives look really nice. They did look a little tiny bit dense and maybe a little tiny bit overexposed, but it was a very bright day, so you know, the odds were against me. Also, I found that I've got some light leaks on that camera. So if those negatives weren't really workable in the darkroom, at least from that shoot, I would have found out that I've got some problems with my seals on my camera, which is no problem. I can easily replace those and get that running as good as new. So the first negative I liked was one that I printed in the darkroom, and this wasn't really hard to print. A little tiny bit of dodging and burning going on, but not hard to print at all really, and I managed to make a nice print out of that one. And I think that was one of the first photographs that I took where I was low down. You can see the tripod low down, getting all these little tiny wave breakers in, and you can see the effect the long exposure's got on the sea there. It's quite a simple photograph. And then the second photograph that I liked was the one of all these wood here. This stuff's all to stop waves shooting up over the pavements and stuff. So this was the second photograph that I liked from the negatives, and I made a print of that. This one was a little bit tricky. I had to use some split grading, some contrast filters on this one, but I managed to get there in the end, so I'm quite pleased with the results that I got from the darkroom. And as always guys, these are going to be going on my Etsy page. I've got 2 of these and 2 of these that will be going on there, rather that than sit in my shoebox. If you want to support the channel, jump on there. I'll be signing these and sticking these on my Etsy page for you guys to have a look at and purchase if you like. And I couldn't resist making a couple of prints of my new friends as well. So guys, if you're watching this video, probably not, I've got a couple of prints here for you. Before you go back to Hungary, there's a couple of prints, let me know, and I'll get these off to you. I can hear some of the British people watching this going, oh, friends, from in between us. Never mind. So I was really happy that my long exposures came out, so much so that I ended up doing the darkroom dance. So that's how I do my long exposures on film, and obviously on a bright day today I took out that ND Filter 1000, which is a pig iron. It's a cheap and cheerful filter. It's just fun to play around with. I don't often go out and do long exposures on film so much these days, but at least when I do, that's the process that I use. That's what I've always been used to, and it works for me. Let us know in the comments if any of you guys do long exposures on a regular basis, and the process and the calculations that you do. I'll be interested to know. So I hope anyone out there learning film photography or wants to know about long exposures, this has helped them a little bit. I'll catch you next time. I've met some friends. I've met some Hungarian friends on the beach. They're going to say hello to you Hungarian people.
Hello, sziasztok!
Siesta!